Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland, this is for you.
What's going on, Cavs fans? Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Block the Shot the Stop. I'm Skylar Webker. He's Kevin Lynch. And Kevin, we're back after a long break, but back with the winning streak ending, which was a little more disappointing today, but I'm glad that they kind of caught up in today's game and made it a little closer than what that first quarter showed us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was super ugly coming out of the gate. That happens in the NBA, though, that if somebody has a 20-point lead in the first quarter, the odds of the other team being able to come back are still pretty high. That being said, definitely a disappointing game today, which we'll get into. But overall, we're still in a really good stretch for the Cavs. Even after today's loss, they've won 12, and they're 12-2 in their last 14 games. So hard to complain about that.
No, absolutely not going to complain about them. Really turning this season around, especially with how it started. And we can start at Charlotte, where they took care of business against the Hornets, 118-113 victory. This was a game that was the second night of a back-to-back. And look, they came out, looking good. And Charlotte are, they're a better team than their record. They were also a team coming in on a hot streak. So to kind of get this victory and that momentum against Charlotte as well, I mean, I feel really good about this Cavs team.
No, this was a good win. You're right. If you look at their overall record and see that I think they're on the verge of a play-in seed. I don't know if they actually have one right now, but you would think, this is a game the Cavs should win handily, but like Charlotte has been one of the better players in the league. I think they've been a top 5 offense since the New Year's. I think that was a couple of games ago, but that's what I saw. And they were really good for parts of this game. Cavs struggled with a couple of their top scorers. They struggled to contain them from the 3-point line. But this is a really solid win and probably a better win than you would think on paper if you didn't really know anything about the Hornets season.
For sure. I mean, there were some questions that came out of this. So obviously Evan Mobley, they're giving him a little, easing him back into motion here. But the one thing I've noticed since coming back from the All-Star break is that Kenny's slotting Dean Wade in at the 3, which I think we all talked about all season. That felt like Jalen Tyson's spot, but it looks to be working because Dean Wade is being a valuable contributor in these lineups.
Yeah. So I really love Dean Wade, and I think he takes too much scrutiny and doesn't get enough credit for how valuable he is in this team. I love all that. All that being said, I still think Jalen Tyson should be the 5th starter for a few reasons. One, I think Jalen has earned it. His play has been like this season incredible, and I think like his game fits in well with the 5 starters. The other thing is Jalen's production has really torpedoed since the Harden trade. I actually had it here for the season. He's averaging 14 points, 5.5 rebounds. He was literally, until a couple games ago, the top 3-point shooter in the entire league, still averaging 47%. But you go back to the last 5 games, the 5 games with Harden, he's averaging 9 points a game, 3.5 rebounds. His 3-point shooting's down to 35%, which is league average. And so I worry a little bit, and his minutes are down. He's down 6 minutes a game from 27.5 to 21.5. So I worry a little bit about Jalen, not only not being a starter, but just kind of losing his spot in this rotation a little bit. I mean, you saw in the Charlotte game, he only played 16 minutes. There's as good as this team's playing and as improved as the roster is, there's more than 16 minutes to be found for Jalen Tyson on this team. So I think Jalen personally should be the fifth starter. Plus, they're going to lean on Dean Wade so much to be the stretch four since they don't really like playing any other big besides Allen and Mobley. I disagree with Kenny on this. Not because of anything about Dean Wade, but I think both like the play of Jalen Tyson and the rotation fits a lot better when he's the fifth starter opposed to Dean Wade.
I would agree that I would prefer Dean Wade coming off the bench or playing with that second unit. Just in the when you have Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, Dean Wade really is your big off the bench. You're going to go to Dean Wade before you go to Naquan Tomlin, before you go to Thomas Bryant. So I understand maybe in this game when you're short Mobley, but I agree with you that I think Naquan or Dean Wade is in that second unit of bigs to come off the bench for this Cavs team. But coming to the Charlotte game, I really want to shout out. I mean, I keep coming back to the Kings are dumb because Dennis Schroder and Keon Ellis have been awesome for this Cavs team. No, Jade's already got all the credit, but these two have been phenomenal additions.
Yeah, I love both of these guys' game. Schroeder is he is that like junkyard dog in your face point guard. He picked up a technical on his way out of the game for last time today, which is funny. But I think Schroeder's been undervalued in his NBA career. I think he is a very solid starter, but frankly, an elite third guard to come off the bench or backup point guard, if you want to call him that. I think he's phenomenal at that. And Keon Ellis, he just like creates chaos in all the best ways. Like he's all over the defensive floor. He's cutting to the basket. He's getting offensive rebounds. He's like again, he falls right in with Jalen Tyson and Naquan Tomlin as far as the similarities in their game with the all-out hustle, the high-level defense, the just making winning plays, willing to do kind of whatever. And on top of it, Keon Ellis is a super athletic guy that like can guard, frankly, anyone one through three and holds up even on switches with bigs. So yeah, these guys, I think they have transformed the bench from what was frankly kind of a weakness for the Cavs to start the year into like an absolute strength.
I would agree. And look, I know this is, hindsight of everything or after the trade, but the Cavs are looking like big victors in the trade with DeAndre Hunter being out for the year with an eye injury, only playing 2 games for Sacramento. And then there still really isn't a timetable for Darius Garland. And, Lonzo Ball doesn't have a team at all. So 3 kind of injuries and lack of ability off this team to bring in Harden, Keon Ellis, and Dennis Schroder. I mean, the Cavs looking like they swindled everybody.
Yeah, I don't like the DeAndre Hunter one. I hesitate a little bit because that was announced like on 3 consecutive days. The Kings announced 3 guys out for the year. So like for all we know, DeAndre Hunter's just getting LASIK because he doesn't wear contacts anymore, and they're pulling him out for the year in a tanking mode. I mean, that said, I still very much like the trade for the Cavs side. You hate to, especially because the Cavs have played small so often. You hate to give up the size of Hunter, but I think they got back 2 guys who fit needs that this Cavs team have so much better than DeAndre Hunter did. And you're seeing kind of the fruits of that. Absolutely.
And I love what you said about Dennis Schroder being that dog, man. I mean, he's barking at Chet Holmgren. He's barking at everybody in this Thunder game, which we can turn ahead to, but just that energy, like we didn't really have that at all in this team, to now have that guy barking around. And then you have everybody else where that's infectious. You have the maniac that's Jalen Tyson. You have the other maniac who's trying to dunk over a 7-footer moving away from the basket, and Naquan Tomlin. I mean, you just have guys with attitude. You don't feel so soft anymore.
A criticism of the Cavs was like they're too nice to win big, basically, right? And That's not the case anymore. The Cavs have some jerks on their team. Dennis Schroder on the court, at least don't know him personally. He is a jerk on the court. He is a guy that his teammates love and the opposing guys hate him. Naquan Tomlin, I bet his teammates love him and the other teams, frankly, is probably scared of him. He kind of looks like he could snap at any moment. Jalen Tyson, I'm positive opponents hate him, and I know that his teammates love him. So they have guys that are willing to be jerks, push people around, take those little cheap shots, stuff like that. And so we'll find out in the playoffs this year. Was that truly a problem? Did they need some guys like this? Like last year, was that part of their problem, or was it maybe overblown last year? Because I don't think you're going to be able to say the same thing about this Cavs roster that you've said about the roster the last couple of years in the playoffs.
No doubt. And I think one thing that when we made the trade for James Harden, you and I talked about it, everybody in the league talked about it, is his inability to kind of show up in the playoffs. And I would say if we're getting this James Harden, who it doesn't have to be the leading scorer on his team. He doesn't have to be, really doesn't have to shoot. I mean, we saw him blow out. I forget what the team is. He only took 4 shots. And if we get that James Harden where he can get Evan Mobley rolling through the game, if he can get Jarrett Allen rolling through a game, who looks like those two have the best connection ever, get Donovan Mitchell rolling or take pressure off Donovan Mitchell. I think those things are going to help this Cavs team and maybe mask a bit of the James Harden big pressure stigma.
Yeah, I there's definitely a delicate balance here. This Cavs team does not need Houston Rockets James Harden, who's controlling the ball 75% of the time and everything. That said, I do think he's maybe been he's deferred a little bit too much. And it's shown up, especially the last couple of games. I think he's taken 14 shots each of both the Charlotte and the game today against OKC. Frankly, he's able to create those passing lanes and create opportunities for other teammates and everything because of the threat of him scoring, right? So and he's James Harden. He's still looks like James Harden. He still has the beard and everything. So everyone's going to kind of respect his scoring ability on the court. But in the flow of a game, if a guy seems to be always looking to set up a teammate, you'll kind of shade him that way defensively instead of trying to focus on keeping him away from the baskets or challenging him at the 3-point line, stuff like that. So I think there's definitely a balance of not needing, the system James Harden, but you need him to look to score also, because him looking to score is what opens up everything else that he contributes offensively as far as setting up his teammates.
Yeah, for sure. We still need the scoring. Can't be a Lonzo Ball out there. But
yeah,
I'm thinking with this cast he has around him, we can mask if there does become that turbulence of playoff James Harden appearing. We can mask it a little bit better than I would say the other teams that he's played on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but you look at his first 5 games with the Cavs, right? I mean, versus the whole season with the Clippers. The Clippers, he was averaging 25 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. Here, he's still averaging 8 assists, up a half assist a game. He's rebounding more, which has been a key, especially with Mobley out until the last couple of games. But his scoring is down to under 18 points a game. So he's down 7 points a game in his scoring, and his shooting numbers are all fine. They're about the same. They're actually up with the Cavs versus the Clippers. He's just not looking to shoot nearly as much. His shot attempts are down from 17 points a game or 17 shots a game with the Clippers. He's shooting just over 11 field goal attempts a game with the Cavs. A little bit of that skewed. You said you mentioned the one game he only had 4 field goal attempts. There's been 1 or 2 blowouts in the time there. So as he plays more, that data will become a little bit more accurate. But it is true. You can just watch the game to see he's maybe going a little bit too far to try and fit in instead of just kind of plays it, because he's replacing Darius Garland, who obviously wasn't available out of the season, but when he was available, he's a 20 point a game scorer. And if you want at least that, if not more, from James Harden, I do think kind of as they acclimate him more, they're gonna need him to kind of really get back to how he was performing with the Clippers. The Clippers, James Harden from this season would fit in perfectly with the Cavs. He was a good combination of like looking to score, looking for his jump shot, getting to the free throw line, as well as setting up his teammates. I think that's what they need to progress up to, is to kind of get him playing the same way here that he was in LA before the trade.
Yeah, I think there probably is a little bit of deferringness or timidness, sure. But I gotta say, I do like how he's setting up Jarrett Allen. I mean, Jarrett Allen has been the biggest benefactor of James Harden coming to the Cavs. I mean, he was probably, fine, a rim runner kind of guy. And now he's looking like, if this is the Jarrett Allen we got all season, this guy's an all-star.
Oh, without a doubt. He's borderline all NBA right now. I mean, I went through the numbers on the solo podcast I did on Friday, but like, in the last 10 games, he's averaging over 20 points, 11 and a half rebounds. He's shooting 74% from the field. And to go along with it, his defense has come alive even more with, and it's, I understand people should say your offense shouldn't affect your defense. It does. These are human beings and everything. As he gets more involved in the game and frankly just gets focused in more on the offensive end, his defense has just been phenomenal. Whether it's blocking shots, protecting the rim, controlling the glass on the defensive end, especially, and we'll save this thing for another day, but it made me think like, is Jarrett Allen better as a one big guy thing? The focus is always like, is Evan Mobley better with a center like Jarrett Allen, or would he be better as the center, playing with more floor spacers and everything? Like, Jarrett Allen, I think the one thing you can say for sure, he's definitely better with a point guard who is good in the pick and roll and is good at looking for him on that roll to the basket. Because when he has that, he turns into, like a borderline, if not just elite center in the league. Yeah,
for sure. And I know the box scores don't tell the story of today's game against the Thunder, but I was actually really impressed with this game. I mean, obviously getting punched to the mouth early, being down 20-25 in the first kind of quarter there, but then to battle back and cut that deficit to 9 at halftime, cut that deficit to 5 going into the fourth quarter, took the lead a little bit there. Just got a little sloppy there at the end, but I really liked how this game played out. I mean, we saw plenty of times this season where this Cavs team would either roll over or just not kind of mount any type of momentum or comeback. For them to find a way to mount something, mainly around, the bench unit came in and really gave in some great energy and efforts and flipped that game. But we didn't really see that in the first part of this season. So to see that kind of coming up now, it's encouraging.
So that's the glass half full. and that's like, that's true. You could also say the Cavs got down by 23 points 6 minutes into the game when the Thunder were missing 4 of their top 7 players, including the reigning MVP of the league. So that's another way to say, like, did they take this game for granted because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Caruso, AJ Mitchell all weren't playing, and did they frankly again not take the Thunder as seriously because of that? And then they came out and got punched in the mouth because of it. So because I'm more the pessimist, that's actually what I think. I think the fact that the Thunder were so shorthanded in this game caused the Cavs to just not come out with the same focus and aggression as maybe they've had recently, or would have if Shai in particular was in the lineup. But I was really disappointed with the start, because like, as good as this team is, we've talked about, like, they've since the change of the year, they it just seemed like it seemed like a lack of focus today, and that was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little optimist, obviously, but the thing that I liked about this seems to be the exact same setup that the Cavs kind of faced last year when they matched it up with the Pacers, is that they didn't take them seriously, got punched in the mouth, and then just felt demoralized the rest of the series. I mean, they looked like they were kicked down a couple of rungs where I think because of the bench unit energy and everything else, they were able to pivot and make that comeback and find momentum where, I mean, it was dreadful to watch that Indy series because it didn't seem like they could do anything to find momentum, find a guy, have Dennis Schroder barking and had Grant Williams to get a tech. Like, they didn't have any of that with last year's team. And that part, I guess, is a little more interesting to me is that, all right, that this isn't the same team that we saw in the playoffs last year. They're able to find a way to come back, whether it's Sam Merrill catching the heater, whether it's Donovan Mitchell coming in with his late game heroics, whatever it is. That part was encouraging to me. I understand dropping this against the Thunder, who are shorthanded. That part definitely does sting, but the response to getting punched in the mouth and getting just what we saw last year where the defense was so suffocating that it like immobilized everybody, seeing them be able to power through that and find a way to make a competitive game. Those are things that I like as far as growth aspects of this team versus last year.
No, I can see that. I do think, again, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate. A lot of that that you just described, like kind of powering through it, being resilient, through through this, Thunder defense, which despite those few guys being out, I think that affects them much more offensively than defensively. They still have like elite defenders on that team that played today. The best response to that was actually by the bench in today. I mean, they went to the bench when the game was 28-5. And so while you could say their resilience and kind of, let it come back and everything, if you look, you can easily look at the plus minus, like all of the starters plus minus is terrible, mostly because of that, the way they started the game. And it was more guys like Keon Ellis and Jalen Tyson and Dennis Schroder that, kind of powered through and were willing to kind of like meet the Thunder's tenacity on defense with their own. And that's more the reason that I think Jalen Tyson needs to be in the starting lineup. I think for when they play against teams who are ultra aggressive, you need at least one guy in your lineup who is willing to match that. And with the current starting lineup is Dean Wade the 3 with the new big 4 and everything. I don't think they have that. I think the rotation makes so much more sense when Jalen Tyson is a 3, or I'd actually be fine with if Keon Ellis was as well. Those are the two guys. Like Friday night when Mobley was out and they started Sam Merrill and went really small, I thought that was a terrible move. Like in my opinion, and Sam was really bad in that game, and the perimeter defense was really bad, and Con Knippel's he is one of the 2 best rookies in the league this year. He's having a phenomenal year, but he had one of, if not the best game of his career on Friday night because they didn't match up with him defensively. And so I agree that they have with the changeover in the roster, they're more equipped to kind of respond to the uber aggressive defenses that the Pacers had in the playoffs this year. The Thunder always has things like that. But I think a lot of the guys that are best at doing that are on their bench, and I think they need to like mix up those rotations a little bit to get a little bit more balance with that.
Fair. I mean, it's a fair criticism, and they're going to have plenty of opportunities left this season, especially this next game against the Knicks. I think it'll kind of be a little bit like that as far as I know the Knicks. If you listen to big media, the Knicks are falling apart. We all know that that's not true, but I think they're going to play the Cavs tough. And there's a lot of games coming up that's like that. They still have games against Detroit. They'll have Milwaukee again. They have games against Boston. So there'll be a lot of those tighter, kind of just playing harder games. And I'm glad we got a bit more here at the end as to get through versus kind of last year where they cakewalked to the regular season and then went into the playoffs thinking that they were all high and mighty and getting their bell rung.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Again, big picture, they've won 12 of 14 games. And I think that's something that's lost a little bit, that everybody's talking about how the Cavs are so see, letting your dog out. That they're giving like the trades all the credit to this Cavs recent hot streak. The Cavs are playing really well before the trade deadline, right? And that's why it was a little bit surprising to see them make the moves that they made. And that said, they've been playing even better since the trade deadline. I like kind of going back to what I said. I think they have a decent amount of balance on the roster. I don't think they have balance in the rotations. And I think that's something that Kenny needs to work on a little bit. And in fairness, he's had this roster for 5 games. There might be a feeling out period. The rest of the regular season might be a feeling out period. I totally understand that. But I think it's pretty obvious that they need one of Jalen Tyson, Keon Ellis, maybe one or two other guys in the game at all times, and it's a mistake to not start the game with at least one of those guys. And I'd put, if he was ever healthy and ever playing, Max Strus, I would kind of put him in the same category as Ellis and Tyson. They need one guy like that in the lineup at all times that balances out kind of more the offensive firepower that their backcourt is in Harden and Mitchell.
Yeah, and I like how you bring up Max Strus if he's ever healthy, because we still don't have any updates on Max Strus at all.
No real update. They did. Kenny said coming out of the All-Star break that he was doing like as much as you can do before you do contact. So he's still no contact, but he's doing full workouts and everything. Who knows what that means? I mean, once he's doing contact and practicing, that could still be 2, 3, 4 weeks before he's actually playing. There's now only 6 weeks and 20 something games left in the regular season. So again, I said this weeks ago, I still say it, like the mindset needs to shift from like, when we get Max back, this will happen, to like planning as if he's not going to come back and then working it out if he does.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, especially because we see how many games does it take a guy coming back from basically a year without playing at all to get his legs under him, to be actually anything of value on the floor. Even if he comes back in, let's say, 3 weeks, 4 weeks,
yeah,
it probably still takes about another 2 weeks to even get your legs under you. And by that, you're in the playoffs. The games are a little more, matter a little more, or have a little more just intensity to them.
Yeah. I that's true. And like I said, they have 6 weeks and about 25 games left to kind of play around, figure that out and everything. The Max thing, you have to put to the side. I mean, if we're over 2/3 of the way in the season and he hasn't played, nor is he on the cusp of playing, you put that to the side and you figure out the rotations. And if he comes back and if he looks like Max Strus, then you kind of work him in where you see fit. But yeah, all this is to say, like I'm saying for like the 4th time in this podcast, I really think they should move Dean Wade into a bench role only because it fits this rotation so much better. And my preference would be Jalen Tyson, but again, I would even be okay with Keon Ellis kind of filling that 5th spot to play the game. And I would frankly like one of those 2 guys in the game at all times, really, especially one of those 2 guys in the game when Harden and Mitchell are in the game together, because that sets you up much better, especially defensively, but even offensively as well.
Yeah, it'd probably be Jalen Tyson, just because I feel like Kenny, he likes that tandem of Ellis and Schroder coming off the bench. He likes those 2 playing together, which they have a history, obviously, coming from Sacramento together. But I'm kind of on your team with, I would love Keon Ellis in the starting rotation.
Yeah, I would be fine with it. I again, my first choice is Jalen Tyson. If for no other reason, Jalen Tyson is becoming the lost man in this rotation. And I think the Cavs ceiling includes Jalen Tyson being an integral part of this team and it being an integral part in whether it's starting, closing lineups, playing 25 plus minutes a game. He went from the Cavs' second best player the first 50 games of the year. And he was because of a little bit of Evan Mobley's struggles and his unavailability. Same thing with Jarrett Allen, same thing with Darius Garland. He was their second best contributor for the first 50 games of the year to now he's playing 15, 16 minutes a game these last 2 games. And and frankly, they get the win in Charlotte, they lose today. I would not say either of those games were a super high level performance by the Cavs. Like good, but definitely not great. And and especially with young players, I know we're kind of playing on the psyche of guys and everything, but like when you go from being the second most important player playing over 30 minutes a game and everything to all of a sudden you're playing 15, 16 minutes a game, you can't help but like feel a little bit of like downshift in your confidence. Right. I mean, so I don't know. I think that's a move. My guess is Kenny doesn't do it. He stays with this starting lineup that he has started, the games that Evan Mobley's been available coming out of the All-Star break. My guess is he stays with it, but I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, fair. Let's turn ahead to New York. Everybody's healthy. The only injuries to report are Max Strus, obviously. And they have Mitchell Robinson. That's kind of a game time decision. But what do you foresee in this matchup against the Knicks? They'll be playing in Cleveland.
Yeah. Should be a good matchup. And for everything I just said about Dean Wade not being the starting lineup, Dean Wade is like the best defender in the league on Jalen Brunson, like by the numbers. And so like I see Kenny definitely staying with that starting lineup and Dean Wade matching up against Jalen Brunson and then them kind of spreading out the matchups from there. When both teams are fully healthy and rolling like they are now, I just think the Cavs are a better team, and that's trying to take my bias out of it. But the Knicks offense relies so heavily on Jalen Brunson creating, where the Cavs offense, even though they have James Harden, who was the original better version of Jalen Brunson, like their offense is more all encompassing, getting contributions from everywhere. I also think, the Cavs just can match up with the Knicks extremely well on the defensive end, better than they do with other teams, just because their wings, while they're very good players, are not necessarily creators and everything. The one thing you worry about, and it's been a problem with the Knicks for the last several years, they match up with them. The Knicks seem to always kill the Cavs on the boards. And so if the Cavs can stay even or close to even on the boards, I think they have a very good chance of winning this game.
Yeah, on the season, the Knicks are 2-0 against the Cavs, all in close contests, 119 to 111, 126 to 124. So obviously this with the old format of the Cavs. I'm excited to see what the new format brings. I hope that the tandem, and maybe we get a little bit more of that scoring from James Harden, but that tandem of James Harden and Donovan Mitchell are too much for their kind of smaller front court or back court to handle. I mean, Jalen Brunson is a bit undersized. Josh Hart plays well, and he plays hard and hustle, but I would say put him in the undersized category as well. So hoping for a good Cavs win, get back on the winning streak, and really take that 3 seed that the Knicks kind of leaped them today with the loss.
The only other thing I would add for this Knicks game, what I would personally like to see is I would really like to see a little bit more of Dennis Schroder in this game, because I think if he plays enough guarding Jalen Brunson's going to like square up against him, because he's going to drive Jalen Brunson insane. I haven't seen those two match up because of, I've not watched or as much because of like where Schroder played and everything. But I would think Schroder, because of how tough he is defensively, how in your face he is, and how Brunson likes to play, and he, hates it whenever anybody breathes on him kind of thing. I just think Schroder would drive him insane. So I honestly, as much as you never want to take minutes away from a James Harden or Donovan Mitchell, I wouldn't mind seeing a few more minutes shifted to Dennis Schroder in this game, particularly for the defensive matchup and the fact that I think he would match up pretty well against Brunson, especially when Wade isn't in the game. Wade's certainly going to get plenty of turns against him because of the success he's had in the past. But that would be my one other key is does Dennis Schroder get at least 20 plus minutes, and is he a primary assignment on Jalen Brunson when he is in the game?
Yeah, well, we'll see how it shakes out here on Monday. But before we get out of here, we want to close our Sunday shows with put one nice thing on the internet. This is a lot of negativity out there on the internet. So for all the negativity we add, we got to put something good out there. So Kevin, what do you got?
I got two really quick ones. First of all, Cavs related. I'm going to say I have always really enjoyed Keon Ellis's game, and I love that he's a Cav. I don't know if anybody hasn't heard, Kenny Atkinson in his press conference this weekend said like he didn't know Keon Ellis hardly at all, and one of the scouts was insisting he was a really good player and be a good fit on the team, and so Kenny watched a little bit of tape. He's like, I don't see it. I don't think this guy's that good. It was a very awkward way of saying Keon Ellis has surprised me. He's even better than I thought he would be, kind of thing. But it was a super awkward way and kind of probably not the thing you would want your head coach to say about you, at least like Kenny, the awkward way that Kenny said it. So I will say in the games I watched Keon Ellis play for the last several years, I really enjoyed him. You're great, Keon. You're a heck of a basketball player. Happy to have you in the Cavs. My other nice thing is I want to say happy National Margarita Day to anybody who celebrated. And I celebrated with 4 margaritas and a 3-hour nap today. And just honestly, as far as just like a nice, casual, great vibe, like just Mexican restaurants all over the place are just such an underrated place to have like a good low-key experience without like too much like frill or anything. Like we went there with some friends of ours. We both have young kids. The kids were fine there. You know, it's loud. They're playing music, blah, blah, blah. And we had a great time on like a 2-hour lunch. And so anyway, like go visit, especially your locally owned Mexican restaurants near you. Have a great time. Have some salsa and a margarita and everything. Just great vibes, underrated vibe. And we haven't done it nearly enough in the last couple of years. So something we're going to get back to.
Nice. For mine, I'm going to go with Team USA beating Team Canada in hockey for the Olympics. Everything about that was incredible. All the trash talking, all the pride it took in all of these athletes. I love all of the images and memes and everything coming out of it. Makes you proud to be an American. Sorry for any of our Canadian listeners, but it's good to be an American right now. It feels awesome.
Yeah, that I was thinking about saying the nice thing is the Olympics. I'll save that. I'll save that for by the next time we do this. I think the Olympics will be closing, but the Olympics they're still an incredibly cool experience. It's always a little bit tougher when they play on the other side of the world, time differences, things like that. Yeah. But it's one of the best things the world still does together.
No doubt. So for that, we'll get on out of here. We'll be back to our regular schedule now that we're through the All-Star break and everything. So tune in on our next show on Wednesday as we cover kind of the games leading into next week. Follow us on all of our social medias. We love fan interaction. We're on Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're on all of it. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel as we keep growing our content over here. Turn on the notifications so you get the latest and greatest from us every week without missing an episode. And please subscribe to the audio version of this podcast. It's absolutely free. It helps us out a ton. Be a friend. Tell a friend. You directly impact the show. We're just Cavs fans trying to put out good content for other Cavs fans. So for Kevin Lynch, I'm Skylar Webker. We'll get out of here. And as always,
go Cavs.